Hello and welcome. Today we are going to go ahead and take a look at the Stroud Leviathan. So the Stroud Leviathan is the next in my Leviathan series, which is basically massive cargo haulers that are not limited by starship design. So a Leviathan has to be able to carry a minimum of 10,000 cargo and be able to sleep a crew of at least 4. Anything beyond that is basically just a bonus. Um, the only other requirement is it has to be able to jump at least 27 light years. So that's going to be enough to get you from any 2 planets in the settled systems. So the Stroud Leviathan is technically capable of all of that. However, it is definitely sacrificing mobility in order to do so. So let's go ahead, take an interior tour. I'll show you how it's built, and then we will see how well it can hold up if you end up having to go into combat with this monstrosity. Alright, so first things you're going to notice is that we are in the Kontiki Bridge. We can go down 1 level, and we find ourselves in a companionway. Moving forward, over here you find ourselves in the 2x2 battle stations. Then we can come through this door and come to the back of the captain's quarters, which for some reason they decided to stick the ladder over here, and then fall down 1 level into our lovely cargo hall. Now, because clearly we are not enough of a maze in this ship, we have a single door coming off this side, and that's leading us into our 3x1 all-in-one berth. And then we have a door here leading into another 3x1 all-in-one berth. Coming all the way to the front of this, we find ourselves in our mess hall. On the other side of the mess hall, guess what? It's another 3x1 all-in-one. And another 3x1 all-in-one. Counting the captain's quarters, that means that we have a total of 16 beds. Oh, sorry, 17 beds. Coming back through the mess hall, we have this single ladder that's coming down into the infirmary. Behind that, we have our workshop. And then we have our nice, lovely armory. We have our docking bay axis right there. And then we can fall down into our landing bay axis. And that's it. That's the entire ship. Now, this is one of the worst interiors of any ship that I have designed. However, it's still functional, and it gets me all the pieces that I was looking for. However, I would definitely make some adjustments if I was using the Play Stores Yourself mod.
Well, I think you'll. Are you ready to do some business? Absolutely.
But let's take a look at why this could possibly be worth it. So before, well, I guess you can go ahead and just take a look at the stats over here. But let's hop in here and take a look at the stats before my skills. So let's start with the ultimate downside. 11 mobility. This thing technically moves. It does not move well. Additionally, I did find, so I am using the Apollo GB300, so I've got 50 grav jump thrust, which is the most grav jump thrust that you can get out of a ship without mods. However, if I were to go from 9523 up to 9528 mass, my jump range drops to 26. So I'm right near the mass limit. But why would I want to go ahead and run this belt? This right here. 31,460 cargo before skills. This basically means that if you need to go ahead and move anything, this ship can probably do it for you. Alrighty, so enough staring at this. Let's go ahead and just grab our colors really quick, which is going to be a blackish color, the exact same blackish color, and then some gold to top it all off. Then let's delete everything and put the ship together. So I only have the Stability Pro landing bay available to me in a Stroud only ship, which means that I only have the side access. Though I could just go ahead and choose a different side if I wanted. Next, I'm going to go ahead and place a companionway. And then above that, I'm going to go ahead and place an armory. Coming out from the armory, I'm going to go ahead and grab myself a workshop. And then I'm going to grab myself the infirmary. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and grab a cargo hall. I'm going to duplicate the cargo hall forward to turn it into the mess hall. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab my 3x1 all-in-ones. Then up here, I'm going to go ahead and grab my battle stations. I'm going to grab my captain's quarters. Then I'm going to grab my companionway. Then above this, I'm going to go ahead and grab that Kontiki B600 bridge. And then directly above the landing bay, I am going to go ahead and grab my side port docker. Alrighty. So, next up, let's go ahead and grab my fuel tanks. So I have a single 900T HE3 tank here. That's going to be located directly under the companionway. Then I'm going to go ahead and grab my grav drive, which as mentioned is that Apollo GV300. You could also use the J52. However, I will note that if you don't make any changes, this is actually going to put you over mass because the 10 additional mass from the J52 is too much for the ship. Next up, let me grab my reactor, which is of course going to be the Pinch 8Z, located directly underneath the grav drive. Alright, now what? Well, it is time for cargo. So this particular ship is making use of only the Galleon S204 cargo holds. But we have just a couple of them located on the ship. So we see you got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 so far. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. right. $19. Okay. Something isn't quite lining up here. I'm supposed to have 2 here. But 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, so total of 19 of these cargo holds. Just stuck wherever you can fit them. Alright. Yeah, that's right. Alright, now let's go ahead and grab our engines. Now here I am using the SAL 6330s. Note, you could use the 6880s if you have them unlocked. However, they only unlock if you have them on, if you did the main quest. So you may or may not have that available to you. Alright, so let's go ahead and grab some Stroud mid bracers. Give us enough space to open that up. Alright. Then I'm going to come on over here and I'm going to grab my shield, which is going to be the SG-1800 because that is the best shield that you can get. Then, finally, it is time. Time to start adding landing gear. Now, one of the downsides of this ship is I only have available the AccuLander 11s. These only produce 2 landing thrusts, and if you wanted to significantly reduce the amount of landing gear you need, I would look at going on over to Nova Galactic and getting some NG20s to place on instead. It'll half the number of landing gear you need. And you can see I am basically just turning the entire bottom of the ship into landing gear. And I still need more. There we go. Finally, we did it. Alright. So that is all of the landing gear needed for this ship, which means that at this point all we need now are weapons and structural. So let's get to that. So coming on over to the structural tab, first let's go ahead and grab our pair of braking engines, and then we're going to go ahead and grab our nose cap E. I'm going to come on over here and grab a pair of nose cap C's. And then I'm using the Stroud nose cap 2B. Now, you could go ahead and use 3 of the cap C's or the cap B4s, but by using the cap 2B, we can go ahead and flip them in like this, and this also is going to go ahead and give us our 3 weapon slots here, as well as 2 more additional weapon slots right here. Let's go ahead and repeat down here, just like so. And then I'm going to copy this again. And I'm going to copy that and flip it into place over my shield. Next up, I'm going to come on down here to grab these Stroud Cap A's. Which will be placed around that like so. And then in the rear configuration, place that there. And place some Stroud cowlings on the side. And that is basically the ship. From here, the only thing I have left to do now is add my weapons. So for this ship, I am running 3 of the Obliterator 250 Alpha turrets. And then I am also going to go ahead and be running 4 of the PBO 300 Auto Alpha turrets. And then finally, I am also running 4 PBO 100 Auto Neutron turrets. Let's go ahead and paint our ship really quick. Assign our weapons. There we go. And that is the Stroud Leviathan. As I said, not the prettiest of ships that I've built, but this is basically the limit that you can get for hauling cargo with still having that 27 light year jump range. So let's go ahead and come on out to Serpentis and see what happens if your pile of bricks ends up in combat. So I do not need to worry at all about actually shooting with this ship because it is entirely all turret weaponry. Looks like nobody is showing up for this party. Let's head on over and find some hostile activity. And as you can see, the name of the game is just point the front of your ship in the general direction of the target and hope that's good enough. That's nice. Why are you telling me about that now? We... So, as you can see, um, the maneuverability for this ship is very low. It's trying to go ahead and turn it to face in the general direction of the target. Can take a little while. The thrusters, when activated, do help some, but it's still not exactly what you would call responsive. Boosting, well, technically it boosts. Just leave it at that. So this is very much a ship that you want to pull out for when you are doing outpost work, but not as your daily driver. However, let's go ahead and hit up another planet or two and see if those conclusions still hold. Moving on. Oh, great. A shipping crate. Alright. So we've got a Eulogy 2 and a Prophecy 3 here, so this is a reasonably high-end encounter. But it's not, as we can see, it's something that this ship struggles with because we can't focus fire on a single target. That is, of course, always the downside of working with turrets. Alright. In the end, though, we were able to finish it off. And I am, well, I guess I do need to wait for my engines and shields to repair some, so we will slow boat it on over to pick up this loot and see if we can get one last encounter. Alrighty. Alright. There we go. So, on that note, if you watched all the way to the end, thank you very much. And I will see you in the next one.